Hey guys, I'm so glad you tuned in for this special important video on how you can get ready for state board. Alright guys, so I'm back. I'm excited because today I took my written portion of my state exams and I passed. But oh my goodness, the passing was I don't even know how to explain it. Let me just jump into the story. So just to bring you up to date, I graduated December 17th, Kenneth Shula Esthetician program. After graduating, I went through my outtake as far as processing out to prep for state boards. I did have a mishap with my paperwork. Some of my paperwork was not submitted correctly. So instead of me going to state board, which would have been on Monday for my practical, now I have to wait till February 20th. Oh my goodness, you talking about somebody that was mad? I was very upset. I was hurt. I was like, man, this is just messing up my flow. But nonetheless, you know, gotta keep pressing on. So let me tell you what you should do so that you can make sure that your paperwork and your process to state board goes smoothly. So after processing out of school, once you graduate, you will get an email from PSI, which is Professional Services Incorporated or something. It's PSI, I think. You'll get an email, and that email will have your account information on how you can track your paperwork that has been submitted and your actual final approval for board date. I did receive that, but once I got my email, I got an email saying that 2 of my forms was not valid. So I contacted my director, told her about it, and she had to resubmit my forms because they were not in a PDF format. So make sure that once you subscribe or you get your account information that you stay up to date and you make sure you follow that process through, monitor your emails just to make sure that everything is on the up and up. So once you finish that process, you should also receive an email that allows you to set up your written exam. I never got an email to set up my written portion until recently, and the cause of that was because my paperwork was not submitted correctly. So that pushed me back. So make sure you stay on top of your paperwork. Make sure you see it through. If you have any questions, contact your director or call the board yourself, which I did, just to get a handle on what's going on because I was ready to get my license. Okay? So that's one important step that you should do. So in doing so with your written, in terms of me taking my test today, when I took my test, I was like, oh snap. None of the questions that I really studied from my previous study guide while I was at school was on the test. So I'm going to touch on that for you to let you know how you can properly prepare. Because girl, you going to need to. So when you sign up for your written, there is a portion in your email that you receive as far as your confirmation. I believe it says like print out your handbook, or there's some extra verbiage at the bottom of that email where they want you to kind of either print out a handbook or review some additional materials. Make sure you do that because in that portion of your email, it will let you know what percentage of the written test will be based off of chemistry or diseases or science, X, Y, and Z. I signed up for my written while I was at work, so I didn't print out anything. I just took a screenshot of my location, my date, and my time, and they'll also send you a follow-up email with your confirmation of your date, your time, location, identification that you need to bring. As far as the identification that I brought, you needed 2 forms. I brought my driver's license and I also brought my social security card. So that's all the back end, just to kind of bring you up to speed so you know how the process works. What do you need to remember? Stay on top of your paperwork, okay? So let's get into the nitty gritty. Go ahead and bust out this. Yes, your Milady book, because you're going to need it, girl, and you're going to thank me for it later. So I kind of went through the book and kind of put some sticky notes. Like I said, I just took my written today, and based off of me just studying from my study guide while I was at school, most of that stuff was not on it. A lot of the stuff that was on there was like from chapters where you really was like, hey, you really have to know your information as far as like the chemistry chapters, anatomy, electricity, a lot. So follow through. So let's go ahead and jump into this Milady book. The first thing that I want to tell you to review is in the General Anatomy and Physiology chapter. So turn to page 120. Make sure that you are familiar with the connective tissue terms as well as adipose, the organs. Also make sure you are familiar with what the lymphatic system does, its function. That was on there. There were some questions that I had about that. Turning the page, turn to page 142. Also familiarize yourself with those terms on that page 142, like the frontal, transverse, middle temporal artery. Familiarize yourself with that. I had some information, well, some questions regarding that. I'm going to flip over. Now we're going to jump into page, let's see. Turn to page 173 when it talks about water and oil emulsions. I had a question about this on my test today, and basically it's going to ask you a question pertaining to water and oil emulsions, and some of the answers might be like cleansing gel, or I don't know, like whatever it is, it's pertaining to you giving an example of what is considered to be a water and oil emulsions. So make sure you brush up on that. Now let's go to page 186, jumping into basics of electricity. I did have a lot of questions. I wouldn't say a lot of questions, but I did have questions on polarity, galvanic, as well as anaphoresis, cataphoresis, ionization. Make sure you familiarize yourself with those terms, so that way when you are reading the question, you understand what it is that it's asking you. I'm trying to tell you, I was struggling today. I thought that I was going to have to go in my pocket and retake this test over today, because I was like, yo, Tasha, you about to be taking this test over again. But not to worry, I'm not going to let that happen to you girls out there. So polarity, you also need to know in reference to high frequency, as far as the instruments, is made of glass. So keep that in mind. That was one of my questions. You also need to know which ends of polarity that the client holds during, I think it's galvanic. Brush up on that. There wasn't any questions on there in reference to pH. I didn't, or acidic, alkaline. I didn't really have any questions on my test about that. So I don't know if you'll get the same exact exam or if they kind of shuffle up the questions. It's 110 questions, and I believe the time that they give you is 90 minutes. So moving on. So keep that in mind. 233, turn to this chapter. Make sure you know all the layers of skin. There was some questions on my test in reference to, for example, what is the next layer after spinosum, or what is the last layer of skin? Know that. Know the skin layers and know the orders and the function. Well, you don't need to necessarily know the functions, but definitely know the order. That will be very helpful, because I had a lot of questions about that. Also familiarize yourself with sudoriferous glands and sebaceous glands. We're going to turn the page. Now we're into histology of the skin. When I'm talking about the sudoriferous glands, let's see, turn the page, keep turning. Let's jump to page 259. Let me just put my book down. 259 had me stumped today on my test. This is what page 259 looks like. Hopefully you can see this. This whole graph right up in here. All this over here. Look at my face. You need to know it. Yo, I'm trying to tell you, when I saw these terms on my test today, I was like, I just kept saying to myself, Tasha, what you gonna do, girl? Because I was really, my heart was beating fast as I flipped through the questions, because I was like, man, I thought I was prepared, but I really wasn't prepared, because I didn't study the right amount of information pertaining to the written exam. I was doing all of the other studying that I was like, dang. So that's why I say it's important to make sure that when you do sign up for your written, there is some verbiage down there in the email. One of my classmates, she paid attention to it and she was able to print it out. So that's how I knew that it lets you know what percentage of the written exam will be based off of, you know, the skin or hair removal or chemistry or whatever. So make sure you do your part, okay? So make sure you familiarize yourself with page 259. Now I'm going to turn to, let's see. Oh, as far as hair removal, there was some questions that I had about hair removal. You just really need to know like the anagen, catagen, telogen stage. I had some questions about that. I distinctly remember questions about telogen stage. So familiarize yourself with that in terms of when they're talking about hair removal chapter. So yes, brush up on hair removal. Now we're going to go on to, I think I lost some of my sticky notes. Something else that I want you to make sure that you guys pay attention to or brush up on is in terms of massage, like effleurage, tapotement, like the friction, the hacking, all of that, because they ask a lot of different questions about that, and there will be like a diagram where they ask a question like which picture shows a form of stimulating the muscles. You have to choose. So make sure you familiarize yourself with the different things pertaining to massage, like tapotement, effleurage, petrissage, things of that nature, kneading, because they did ask a lot of questions about that on my particular test. Overall, like I said, it's 110 questions. They give you 90 minutes. Make sure you come in with your ID. Don't bring in anything extra. They let you know that when you get your email as well. If you do happen to come in with some extra stuff, they provide a red bag for you to put on the back of your chair, and they lock it. They put like a lock on it. They hold your ID until you come out. I was finished with my exam within about 30 minutes. It didn't take long at all. Also make sure that you, when you first get to your computer, they will kind of go over the directions of how you select certain questions, because it's like labeled on the keyboard with stickers. So make sure you read through that, familiarize yourself with that, go through the practice test, so that way you know, okay, when I select this option, I'm actually selecting this question. I can either hit next or enter, and it's going to record my question and take me to the next one, because you don't want to jack yourself up. Overall, I am so glad that it's over. I thought the written would be a little bit easier than me taking the practical. I haven't taken my practical as of yet, but I will take it February 20th. But after taking the written, I just really didn't feel as though I was prepared enough for the written. And even for my study guides, based off the questions that was pulled from the written that I took today, a lot of it wasn't on my study guide. The study guide is more kind of like towards professionalism and like the history of aesthetics. You may have a little bit more in detail about the bones and things of that nature. But today I was just really like scared for my life. When I got out and she was like, you passed, I was like, oh, well, what's passing? Because you know me, I want to know what's the score. But they will send you a paper in the mail with your actual score on it. But right then and there, they just let you know if you passed or failed. So all you need to know is that you passed, girl. So brush up on those things. Let me know if you have any specific questions pertaining to the process, or any questions that you feel as though you would like for me to answer to help you with your transition to going to state board and taking your written portion. My next video, I'm going to work on packing for state board. Practical, I have to repack, and just off the top of my head, I know I'm going to have to get me another disinfectant, because when I was practicing doing school, my wax spilled onto it, so I have to replace a few items before I go to board. But other than that, I wish you the best of luck. Make sure that you really review, even if you think something is not going to be on the test. Just review it anyway, just so you can have that peace of mind, so you won't be frantic. Don't stress too much over it, but make sure you follow up on your paperwork. That's the one piece of advice that I can give you, especially with me having to wait a whole nother month. Follow up on your paperwork. Make sure that you stay on top of that and your correspondence as far as email, and make sure all your information is correct, because you don't want any setbacks. So thank you for watching this video, and right now, or maybe in the next following week, you should be reviewing. Don't do it all in one lump sum because you get overwhelmed, but definitely take heed to what I have said. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye. Good luck.